Good evening, everyone. This is Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project, and I'm going to make some homemade soap in my tiny house on wheels. What I've got up here, it looks a little bit cluttered, but I've tried to put everything together before I turn on the camera. And I've got my protective gear over here on the side. I thought it was in view of the camera. Safety goggles, rubber gloves, because we're going to be working with lye. Now this is Roto brand lye, sold as drain opener. It's 100% lye, and it's sold as drain opener. Now the stuff you want to use is the, I want to say, make sure I'm saying it right, it's the sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide makes hard soap. Potassium hydroxide makes soft soap. So make sure you get 100% pure sodium hydroxide. And the Roto brand is pure crystals, and it is food grade. This is very popular for soap making, among the soap making crowd. So I'm going to put on my safety goggles first, okay, and I'm going to put on my rubber gloves before we do anything here at all. I've got my scale zeroed. So with lye is very caustic and very dangerous. It can dissolve your skin, so you want to be very careful when working with lye. Now right now I want to first measure out 7.5 ounces of water. This is just plain old common water. I'm off the grid, so I have to carry my water by hand, so forgive me here for using a big old jug. So I want 7.5 ounces of water. Now you want to put your lye into your water. Never pour water into lye. It could be explosive and dangerous. So making soap is not too dangerous as long as you're careful. Where am I here? Oh, okay. A little bit more. I'm looking at, okay, I got about 8 ounces. It's close. It's hard to be very, very specific and precise here. I'm going to see if I can dump off a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. Stop moving. Okay. So I'll set my water aside for a second here. Now I want to open up my lye and make sure I don't spill any on my countertop. I don't know what it would do to my varnish, but I don't want to find out the hard way. Well, I sure don't want you opening that, do they? Oh boy. I'd have to pause the camera while I try to figure out how to open this. Child-proof stuff that only children can open. Isn't that funny how that goes? Put that right in the garbage. Okay. Hope you can see everything, because from this point on I'm not going to be able to really check the camera. Now I've got baking cups. This makes it easier to measure my, I want 2 ounces of lye in my water. Now I've got the water on a trivet, I think that's called, trivet? It's a heat protective pad so that I don't hurt my counter, because the lye is going to be hot in the water. It's going to be very hot once it gets into the water. That's nothing. haven't done this in a long time, so I'm not exactly sure anymore exactly how much is 2 ounces by feel. It's half an ounce. It's going to be a little bit. So you want 2 ounces by weight. There's one. It's going to be a little bit more. It's about 1.5 ounces. Guess I could have just put it right into the plastic bowl. It wouldn't hurt too much. It's going to be more than I thought it would be. These are miniature cupcake. No wonder it says small. Okay, in the future don't use small. I thought this was a normal cupcake paper. Forget that. Yeah, well, so much for that idea. Alright, you want to get 2 ounces in here. No more playing around here. It's not the most precise scale. There, 2 ounces of lye. Okay? Now, forgive me for the little glitch there with the miniature cupcake things. Okay, now, very, very carefully and slowly, you want to pour your lye into your water. Very carefully. And stir it in a little bit at a time. Now it's going to react and it's going to fizz and get hot as it dissolves. And it's going to get really hot actually in there once it dissolves totally. See the water starting to turn color, it's heating up. Just a little bit at a time, take your time. Now I want to make soap over the wood stove. Okay. Oh, easy there. Okay. Stir that in thoroughly. Should be getting quite hot. Yes, it's getting quite hot to the touch. It's going to be well over 100 some degrees. I forgot the exact temperature. Doesn't really matter. But the reaction of the lye with the water creates a lot of heat. Yeah, it's getting really hot now. In a minute it's going to be too hot to touch. So that you can see the steam forming on the sides of the container. Okay, now I'm going to pause the camera and we're going to let this sit. This part is done for a while until it cools down. Make sure there's no crystals left in the bottom. Now you don't want to breathe that in either. The steam coming off that is not good to be breathing in, so just so you know, you don't want to be getting your face over that. Do that in a well ventilated area. And we'll go and put the oil in the pan that we're gonna we're gonna put the oil in the pot we're gonna cook this up in. Alright, now we're gonna come over here and put the oil in. So we need 16 ounces of oil, which is basically 2 cups. Oops, I got a brand new oil container. I'll be right back once I open it. Okay, we got 2 cups of oil here. Sorry, I've got a new cat added to the house, so my first cat is growling. There's one. I'm going to do a double batch because 2 cups of oil in this pot is nothing. So we'll do it double. Okay, there's a double batch. I'm going to go over and double the lye and get that prepared because this is a big pot. Okay, now comes the fun part. Once the lye, water, and the oil get to be about the same temperature, then you can take it and you can stir it into your pot of heated oil. You can see it's oil, it's liquidy now, it's very liquidy oil. Stir it in slowly. You will maybe notice the stuff starts to change color right away. The reaction starts to take place immediately. Sorry, it's hard for me to stir it in carefully and slowly and still allow you to see what I'm doing and not make drips on the or not splash any out. Okay. Now you can see the oil and lye mixture has changed color right away. It's become an opaque color now. And now it's all about stirring. Just keep stirring until you see trace. And I'll explain trace when we get there. So this is going to go through a few stages here as the lye and oil mix. And it's called, let me see if I can say this right, saponification. The lye is going to saponify the oil. It's a chemical process where the two go through a chemical change together, and caustic lye, which will melt your skin, mixes with oil and makes soap, which is good for your skin. I know it's amazing and pretty hard to believe. Now you can see this becoming a little bit whiter in color. You can start to see a little bit of a whiter color in there. It's getting milky. And it's going to continue getting more milky as we go. Now I'm doing this over a wood stove, so I'm just using the residual heat on top of the wood stove, so this is not a precise science here. And this is closer to what they did back in the pioneer days. They did not have an exact science in their soap making. They did it over an open fire, and they used wood ash to get their lye. And their soap was runny. It was a runnier soap. Because wood ash provides a liquid soap. Not liquid, it's more of a gooey mass, I guess it was. And I plan on doing that one day in the near future, before the winter is over and while I'm still burning wood in the tiny house wood stove. I want to use some of the wood ash from the tiny house wood stove, and we'll run it through a barrel with some straw, and we'll make lye water. And then I'll go to the butcher and see if I can get some animal fat, and we'll make the old-fashioned soap like they did in the old days. So now I'm going to shut off the camera and I'm just going to keep stirring for a bit here, and we'll come back when something interesting happens. In the meantime, while we're cooking the soap, I am gonna come over here and prepare the forms. Now what I have is 3 1-pound bread forms. I'm not sure exactly how much I'm going to need. I haven't done this in a year. Now I can't find my good silicone forms. Everything's boxed up because those of you who have been following me know I'm building a tiny house on wheels and my whole life is packed up and I'm in between homes right now. So everything, all my soap making supplies are boxed up somewhere. So in the meantime, I've got these aluminum tins, which by the way, lye will eat through aluminum in a flash. You can only use plastic utensils, glass utensils, stainless steel, or cast iron to make soap. Now, because of the fact that I can't find my forms, my silicone forms, I have to use some parchment paper, and that'll protect these aluminum bread forms for me. And that's what I'm going to use. It's the only choice I've got right now. So, yeah, this is awkward. I gotta get this in there. Alright, I won't annoy you on camera and do that, but I'm gonna attempt to get that to form inside there and get my forms ready because, like I said, I can't find my actual good silicone forms. Another video I'm going to be doing soon, though, is I'm going to make a wooden soap form, and then later I'm going to make a plastic soap form, like the ones you find for sale professionally. And those will be some future videos you can watch out for. And it'll certainly help me until I can find my real soap forms. But this shows you can use pretty much whatever you got on hand. You can use the parchment paper to protect the... This is baking paper, to protect your form. And then I'll pour my soap into there. And we'll get to that in a little while. The soap is getting really thick and creamy looking. It looks like a creamy cream of mushroom soup or something. Now there's some little burnt chunks in there. This is being done over a wood stove, and this is not an exact science. This is getting close to pioneer ways, so this is not going to be perfect. So you might see some little darkish colors in there. It is hard to control the temperature over a wood stove, and I'm sure it's going to be even harder over an open fire. The soap that the pioneers made was smelly and often runny. It was made from animal fat, so it usually smelled pretty rough. And because it was cooked over an open fire or on a wood stove like this, with a very unscientifically made lye, with no real scales and weights and measures, it was a very imprecise science. So I'm going to have some impurities here because some of this is burning to the bottom of the pot, and that's just going to be that way. That's part of the cooking it over a wood stove. Now, if you consider post-economic collapse, post-disaster, post-apocalypse, whatever, if you know this method, you can still be clean. Cleanliness is very important, especially after a disaster scenario. Cleanliness, if you're clean and you have a wound, chances are less likely you're going to die from it. So soap, literally, could save your life in an emergency or survival situation. So knowing how to cook it over a wood stove or an open fire is a very valuable skill. And again, it's not an exact science. See, it's not perfect. So I am not at all upset or surprised that I'm going to have some little burnt chunks in there. It's not going to bother me at all, and it's not going to affect the soap in any way when it's done. So I just have to keep stirring. It's getting there. It's going to be done relatively soon now. I'm over here in the kitchen. I'll take you over and show you my forms. Here's one of my forms. I have put the parchment paper in. I had to use a couple staples. This was a nightmare to work with, and I can't wait till I can find my proper forms again. But again, this is no exact science. I'm just doing this. Imagine if in a post-collapse scenario you've got what you've got, and this is what I've got, and so this is what I'm making it with. I've got to prepare 2 more, and hopefully I can get them done before the soap is done, because it's going pretty quickly, really. So I'm going to finish these up real quick. Right now it's settling out fast on me now, really fast. Now we've got like a cream of wheat consistency. Let me see if I can get this mixed. It's really settling out on me. The soap particles are settling, they're becoming thicker and heavier and settling onto the bottom of the pot. And it's becoming much harder for me to keep this mixed now. But I don't know if that shows on video very well, the cream of wheat looking consistency of the stuff underneath, inside. If I stop stirring even for a couple seconds, you can see the oil, the unsaponified oil, if I'm saying that right, floats to the top, and the soap particles, look at that, see that? The particles settle down. See, it's thickening. It's starting to thicken. The soap particles are becoming heavier and thicker. Now it's only been, I honestly didn't even check the time when I started this, but I would say maybe an hour from when I started measuring ingredients. I'm not quite sure. I should have checked the time, but really, it depends. Some people use a electric stick stirrer, I think it's called, which speeds up the process. Stirring and agitating and heat, that speeds up the process. So it is a little bit labor intensive. I mean, it's not hard work, but I'm saying it's time consuming, because you have to actually sit here and stir the entire time until your soap is done. So we'll come back once it gets to the next stage. Now it looks almost like milk curds. Look at that. You can pull it up in big gooey chunks. It's just a continuous stirring process, constantly stirring. That's all there is to it. It's a very simple job. Very simple thing to make soap. But you let that sit for a minute and that soap solidifies down in the bottom of that. Look at that. Thick, gooey stuff. So just keep mixing.